Welcome to another edition of Canada All Stars. I'm delighted that we've got Kathryn Glover here from Canadian Sky. Morning, Kathryn.
Hi, Adam. Great to see you.
Lovely to see you as ever. So we're back with our 6 questions to ask Kathryn and to get a little bit of her insight and expert knowledge on Canada. So we'll go straight in with the first question, which is, what's your story with Canada? How long have you been involved with selling Canada?
Okay, well, Canada. My first trip to Canada was actually 10 years ago. So not 100 years ago, but only 10 years ago. And was to the Vancouver Olympics, which was a rather amazing introduction to the country, as you can imagine. And really encapsulated my overall experience with Canada because it was just an amazing atmosphere, fantastic hospitality, lovely soccer mom volunteers, adding a cheery warmth to everything. And it was amazing. And so enjoyed Vancouver and then went up to Whistler for some skiing. So, I mean, there's a start to a Canadian journey. I was overseeing Canada at the time, but not directly involved in it. And it's only 5 years ago that I got directly involved in Canada when I took over responsibility for the Canadian Sky programme. And then completely fell in love with the people in the country. So I've had an easy job for the last 5 years, really, creating great holidays for our UK and Ireland customers to enjoy. So that's my story.
Great. Well, 10 solid years and some good trips. So what's been your most incredible wildlife experience that you've had? Maybe more than
I think with Canada, it's got to be really out on the water. There's obviously some amazing bear experiences, but they tend to be more fleeting. So I think the beauty for me is actually getting onto the water, whether it's on a river or a lake or out into the sea, because you have such an amazing rounded experience. So the one experience I want to pick on is whale watching from Tadoussac over in the east, and I whale watched from Victoria as well, which was beautiful and fantastic and just gorgeous. Not just seeing the whales, but also seeing all the other wildlife. But sailing from Tadoussac was such an experience because it was a game of two halves, really, in that we obviously went out into the St. Lawrence River, which is clearly ocean-like, and saw amazing minke whales and all sorts of things. And that was very much a seafaring experience. And then going into the Saguenay River and seeing the schools of Beluga whales, which are just so amazing and fun to watch. I mean, just such a fun experience. And there were so many of them. It was really, really special. And on top of that, obviously, the seals and the birds. And in the Saguenay River, you have this fantastic fjord-like scenery with these great cliffs plunging into the water. So for an all-round wildlife experience, it had to be that whale-watching trip from Tadoussac. Beautiful.
What time of year was that with the balloon?
That was quite early. It was early. It was May. So it was very cold. I remember getting extremely cold by the end of it. But it was May.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I mean, generally the whale season in Canada runs from sort of May to October, doesn't it? I think pretty much on both coasts.
Absolutely.
And
I think it's a must. It's just so lovely to get out there. And as I say, you'll always see a whale of some description or other, so it's not like you're ever disappointed. But I think on top of that, you just have all of the other wildlife as well. So it's certainly, for me, it's a must-do. If you're ever in the situation where you can go for a whale watching trip, then it's definitely worth doing. Whether it's on a big boat or on one of the little Zodiacs, it's great fun.
Oh, great. So so for people that don't know, Tadoussac is up north from Quebec City. So generally, people doing a self-drive, Montreal up to Quebec City, and then they can drive up, or you can get a tour, can't you? I think, but it's
absolutely
a little bit further north of that. Yeah, fab. I've not done that one, and hope to get up there and see some of those whales. Yeah, and I know Nim, my colleague, I think did a similar trip and saw a blue whale as well in the St. Lawrence, which you can't actually, they don't breach, but you could see the size of it just at the surface. So again, I think there's 18 species of whales up in the St. Lawrence. So yeah, it's a good chance.
Absolutely. And they do such, I mean, the Canadians are so lovely, and they do such an amazing commentary so you really learn all about the different species of whales and the whole of the St. Lawrence River. I mean, the St. Lawrence River is absolutely fascinating as well. So, gorgeous.
Great. Cool. Well, so let's move on to road trips, because I know with Kane Sky you sell a lot of road trips.
Well, absolutely. Well, I'm going to continue on the same vein as we said. So this was I'm going to stay in Quebec because it really, at the same time of year, it was absolutely amazing. Me and my husband took an RV out and toured Quebec. So what was beautiful about it was there were no people at all. And we pretty much had the roads to ourselves and the area to ourselves. So yes, as you mentioned, Tadoussac is lovely. It's up in Quebec on the coast, a very quaint little fishing village, which is really lovely. But so we started in Montreal and travelled up at the side of the banks of the St. Lawrence River. And first stopped on Ile d'Orléans, which is just across from Quebec City, which is just very, it's unusual, but not unusual. It's just rolling farmland and just a really nice way to start. Very mellow, very beautiful river views and everything, gorgeous. Went up to Tadoussac, which is quaint, and the Saguenay Ford. But the bit I really want to focus on is that we then came back down through the Jacques Cartier National Park, which is obviously one of the lesser known national parks in Canada, which is the main national park really for Montreal. So I can imagine it gets very busy in the summer at weekends, but we pretty much had the whole park to ourselves. I should have genned up on it before this conversation, but I don't know how big it is, but it's blooming enormous. And literally, we were there for a few days, and it's very big. And one night it was literally us in our camper van and one other tent in the whole of the park. And it's just stunning. I mean, it's not the Rockies, which are fantastic, and that would be your sort of normal highlight of a road trip, but just beautiful, pristine forests and rivers and lakes. And so we basically just did some gorgeous hiking trails with not a person to be seen. Thankfully, we had stocked up in the RV beforehand, so had plenty of food and drink to keep us through our solitude. But it was just a really special experience. I've never done anything like that before, and just really, really special. And then on the other side of it, so we did this fantastic away from it all experience in the Jacques Cartier National Park, but then had some real fun in Montreal and Quebec City as well, which are just lovely cities to chill out in. And obviously with the Quebecois French influences, the food is superb, and it's just a very nice place to stroll. Both of them have got very lovely old towns, and just stroll and enjoy cafe society and watch the world go by. So it was a really nice road trip of contrast between this sort of the open road and the lovely empty countryside, and then the sort of the buzz of the cities. So it was a really nice combination.
Oh, great. Well, no, that sounds like fun, and yeah, certainly getting out an RV is obviously the other way to see it as opposed to a car. So great. So you touched a bit upon sort of cafe society and food. I know you like your partial little glass of vino, and so what's been your favourite meal? Have you got one that stands out, or a couple?
Yeah, I have. I mean, really, I have eaten and drunk very well in Canada. I think the food is surprisingly good. And what's so lovely about it is you get such a global influence through. So you have obviously fantastic local produce wherever you are in Canada, but also fantastic influences, whether you're in Vancouver and you've got that Asian influences, etc. So I really have got rather a lot of good eating experiences, but I'm just going to focus on one because it really was the location. I mean, the food was fantastic as well, but location-wise, it was at the top of the Banff Gondola. The restaurant there, I mean, the food, as I say, is very, very good, but really, you just can't beat the view there. I mean, you don't just have a lovely view of a few mountains. You can see 6 mountain ranges from up there, and then the stunning Bow Valley stretching beneath you. I mean, I have to say, I am a bit of a lakes and mountains girl, and that really was definitely up there in my top mountain experiences. And we were lucky enough to go at the end of the afternoon, so saw all these fantastic views in daylight, had a really, really lovely dinner as the sun set, and then a really gorgeous, magical feeling as you came back down the gondola into Banff in the darkness. It was, I think that's got to be my very favourite meal. But I think one of the other things that people don't know is the fantastic wine you get in Canada. I mean, I have sampled both East and Western wines, and they're just really, really lovely. So certainly in the area around Niagara and the area outside of Vancouver, you can sample some very, very good local wines, and I thoroughly recommend that as well.
Yeah, I think that's always a bit of a surprise to people because we don't get Canadian wine generally. It doesn't export so much, but what they keep over there is fab, isn't it? Yeah, it's really
lush. Yes.
It's good as anywhere. And then also, you know, the craft beer scene is big over there as well. So if beer is more
absolutely, yeah, really, really good.
You get a good tipple. Great. Oh, well, that's some good stuff there. Well, you've already given us some hidden gems, but have you got any more in your secret?
I'm not sure if these count as hidden gems. I mean, I think that's the thing about Canada. It's such a vast place that you're very likely to find a hidden gem somewhere or other. But I think what I've got to highlight now is going back to craft beer, really. And I think every bar in Halifax, Nova Scotia, is a hidden gem to me. You sort of open the door and you've got this amazing live music and fantastic craft beer and the best bunch of people you can ever hope to hang out with. So really, I would have to say that. I mean, I can't even name the bars I've been into there, but just so much fun. As I say, you get in there and the music is so energetic. Sounds a stupid word, but it really does make you want to get up and dance and get up and chat and laugh and drink more of the craft beer. So it's got to be a live music bar in Halifax for me.
Oh. That's a good one, yeah. And I think, not that I've been, but I think there's a similar vibe in St. John's, I think, in Newfoundland.
Yes, that's absolutely the next. I was really, really hoping to get out to St. John's this year, but clearly not able to. But it's definitely in the top of my list to get to because it does sound a really fun place to go out.
Yeah, no, I think so, yeah. Brilliant. So, well, last question. So, I mean, you touched upon it really, but this is a sort of warm and fuzzy question. You know, how does Canada make you feel? What, you know, when you come home, how do you explain it to your friends?
Well, I think it's evidence through all of this conversation is that it makes me smile. It is one of the loveliest countries I've ever had been lucky enough to visit and explore. And I've just got so many happy memories of what I've done. And I think clearly, as it stands at the moment, I'm just sitting here in anticipation of when borders will reopen and I can get out there. And we mentioned St. John's already. I'm dying to go to St. John's. I really, really, we've talked about a trip to Yukon and just seeing those amazing wide open spaces. It just, if ever I talk about Canada to family or friends or work colleagues, I just end up going on and smiling and just saying how great it is. I think it's a surprising country in that there is so much to see and so many contrasting things to see. And for me, a holiday, as you know, is a lot of it is about eating and drinking and the people. And really, it's just a fantastic destination for that. So yeah, it's definitely out there. It's my number one destination now in the world, and I've worked in all sorts of destinations, and I've visited with pleasure and business all sorts of destinations, but it's certainly turned into my number one now.
Oh, well, thanks, Kathryn. That's been really good today. Thank you so much for giving up your time to do this.
It's a pleasure. I will talk about Canada till the cows come home, and as I say, we just want more opportunity now to be able to talk about it more and to encourage people to get out there and find out about it for themselves. So
yeah, no, totally agreed. Well, thanks for sharing your experiences. Really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks very much, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, Adam.